So first, starting with the pop quiz related to metals, and after the discussion of the pop quiz, we'll discuss exercise 2 of the metals, which is related to the structure questions. In the first question, list of oxides A to H is shown. We have calcium oxide, aluminium oxide, silicon 4 oxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, iron 3 oxide, silver oxide, and carbon monoxide. Answer the following questions about the oxides from A to H. Each letter may be used once, more than once, or not at all. So maybe some of the oxides which are listed, you may not use them. State which of the oxides A to H is responsible for acid rain. So acid rain is due to the acidic oxide. Acidic oxide will cause an acid rain. So which of the oxide is acidic? Like non-metal oxides are either acidic or, so we have sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide is there. Carbon monoxide is a neutral oxide. So silicon 4 oxide. So which one? Because sulfur dioxide, when it dissolves in water, it will form sulfuric acid or sulfurous acid. Carbon dioxide is like partially soluble. It's not readily soluble. So as a result, it will form as like the pH of a solution will be less than 7, but it's not like strong acid. So sulfur dioxide readily soluble. As a result, it forms sulfurous acid or sulfuric acid can be formed. So that's why D is the right answer. Then has a giant structure. So three giant structure you have learned. You have learned the giant structure. Uh, One is diamond, another one graphite, and silicon 4 oxide. So these are the giant structure you have learned, giant covalent structure. So you can see silicon 4 oxide is given in the question. So which of them has a giant structure? That will be silicon 4 oxide. So C will be the right answer. So this was D and this one is C. It is a reducing agent in a blast furnace. So which oxide is a reducing agent? Reducing agent means help in reduction. By itself, it is oxidized. So what happened in a blast furnace when we have iron 3 oxide, the ore of iron, hematite, when it reacted with carbon monoxide is a good reducing agent. It removes oxygen. So it will produce iron plus carbon dioxide. So this carbon monoxide, because it is removing oxygen from the iron, so what we can say, it by itself it is oxidized, but when substance is oxidized, it is known as a reducing agent. So carbon monoxide is a reducing agent, so H should be the answer for this. H. Then what is the main constituent of bauxite? Bauxite is the ore of aluminium. Like bauxite, we know it contain oxide of iron is there and aluminium oxide is there. But what is the major constituent of a bauxite? What it consists of? Because the ore of aluminium, so it mainly consists of aluminium oxide. That's why B is the right answer. Then what is the main impurity of the iron ore? So if you remember the extraction of iron from the in the blast furnace, we have the ore of iron hematite, and what is the other impurity present? The other impurity present is silicon 4 oxide. And this silicon 4 oxide, how we remove? We remove by adding a limestone. When limestone is added, the limestone, because of the heat, it decomposes into calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. And this calcium oxide is a basic oxide and silicon 4 oxide is an acidic oxide, so they will react with each other and it will form CaSiO3, which we also call slag. So this is a major impurity. So which is a major impurity in the ore of iron, the hematite, that is silicon 4 oxide. That's why C will be the right answer. can be reduced by heating with copper. So means it should be less reactive than copper. If a copper is able to remove oxygen from this substance, it should be less reactive. So when we work out, like example, if calcium oxide plus copper, will they react? No reaction. Why? Because copper is less reactive. Copper will plus aluminum, no reaction. No reaction. But when you check here, silver oxide is given. So when you check the reactivity, you will find the silver is below copper. So means silver is less reactive than copper. So copper can displace this silver from its compound. As a result, it will form a copper 2 oxide and the silver metal. So the idea is that always the more reactive metal displaces the less reactive metal from its compound. So copper is a right, silver oxide is a right answer. So G will be there for the last one. Then question 2, it's a multiple choice question. Element J and K are in the same period in the periodic table. J react with acid to produce salt and hydrogen. So this is a characteristic of a metal. Metal plus acid gives salt and hydrogen. K react with sodium to form an ionic compound. Sodium is a metal. So ionic compounds are formed when metal and non-metal are reacted with each other. So it means K should be a non-metal. Which statement about J and K is correct? An atom of a J has more electron than K. If J is a metal, metal should have less electron than non-metal. So this statement is not correct. J and K both are metals. So J and are both are metals? No, they are both, because if they are both metals, then this should not form an ionic compound. J and K both are non-metals? No. J is the left of K, because when you check the periodic table, in a periodic table, on the left hand side we'll have mostly metals, on the right hand side we'll have mostly non-metals. So J will be here and K will be here. So J is on the left of K in the periodic table, so that statement is correct. So D is the right answer here. Question 3, which part of the periodic table, the part of a periodic table is shown, which element has a high density, high melting point, and forms a brown or a oxide, means colored compound. So these are the characteristic of the transition elements, transition metals. So where we find the transition, we find between group 2 and group 3. So this region we find the transition elements. So in this region, the option we are left with only B. So B is the right answer. In question 4, the reaction of 4 metals W, X, Y, and Z are listed. The metal W displaces the metal X from oxide. So metal W displaces metal X from its oxide. So which is more reactive? It means W is more reactive than X because it is able to displace. Metal Y has a greater tendency to form positive ion than metal W. So means metal Y should be, because greater tendency to form a positive ion or easily lose electron, it means it is more reactive. Like the idea is that, say if we have Y is reacting with Wi, it will form Y ion and W metal. So the one which is existing as an ion is more reactive because it has a greater tendency. So Y is more reactive than W. And aqueous ions of metal Z are reduced by X. Means if we have the ions of Z are present and we add an X, so they will be reduced. Reduced means like they will turn into atom, or the charge will be decrease. Charge will decrease. So it will form X ion and a Z. So it means which is more reactive? X is more reactive than Z. So which is the least reactive? Least reactive should be Z, and which is the most reactive? That is Y. So we will have a reactive, because we want a least reactive to most reactive. So it will be Z, X, W, and Y. So it will be D. So this was a pop quiz related to metals. Now we'll start the exercise two of a metal. I'll discuss the questions.